Okay, so back to Pikachu. Let's switch him back on. I want this little guy to look like he's sat inside that empty car park. So the first thing we need to do is get rid of this green background so we can see him superimposed on the background. To do this, we're going to head to the third tab here, the color tab. So there's a huge amount of adjustments you can do to video clips here. This bit of software is has some very, very powerful color adjustment features. Once again, most of which we're not going to be using. What we are going to do is remove this green background. So to do that, we are going to extend this processing path. What you've got here is an input point, a node here where you can do things like color adjustment. We're going to add a second node in here for doing the process of keying. So keying means removing part of the video, leaving other bits behind. So I need to go up to the nodes menu here and add a serial node in. The output of this node needs to include an alpha channel because we're involving transparency here. We've got the color channel, which is already connected here, but we also need the alpha channel that defines the transparency of certain points of the video. So right-clicking in here, we need to add in an alpha output and then connect the output from this node to the alpha output here. Okay, there's various bits of processing we can do via this node here. So we're going to head first of all to the qualifier tab here. This lets us select a particular color for processing. There's various different ways we can do this, depending on the effect you're after. When you're doing green screen chroma keying, the easiest way in this bit of software is to go to the fourth method here, the 3D method, and you then head up to your image and you draw a circle around a chunk of the background. That then selects that color to be used for keying. Now you can see it's done the keying for us. Unfortunately, it's inverted. It's removing the bit we want to keep and keeping the bit we don't want. So heading down here to the key process here, we want to head down to the qualifier and click on the invert button here. All right, and you can see it's done a pretty good job. If I zoom in, you'll notice it's still picking up a little bit of green on the edge here. So if we come back into the qualifier tab here, there's various tweaks we can do. The in-out ratio lets us expand or reduce the size of the selection where we're selecting the green color here. So if I increase this, so if I just click and slide to the right, you'll see in the preview that that green is lessening. All right, so there we are. It's pretty good. We've got a bit of a jagged effect going on the edge here, so we can also increase the blurring of that edge, and that just softens the edge. All right, so that's not too bad. Now if I zoom back out, it's got rid of the kind of green fuzziness we had around the edge there. All right, now Pikachu's looking rather large for this car park. He's a pretty small guy, so a few of the tweaks we're going to do. First of all, I'm going to go to sizing here, and I'm going to zoom downwards until he's about 20%. So pretty small I want him. That should do. Now you'll notice that we've got this big blank space because the original Pikachu video is only this big, and the keying effect is being applied to just the video area here. So we want the effect to apply outside of the area as well. So the other thing we're going to do here is put a is define the window in which the effect is going to take place, if that kind of makes sense. So just a simple rectangle adding in here. If I zoom in so we can see what's going on, you can see it's applied a window which is defining the boundary of the effect. Everything outside of it is being left transparent. So the chroma keying is happening inside here for the original video. Outside by default is transparent. So we need to change the shape of this this path here so that we include Pikachu here, all of him, but we don't want any edges showing here, so you just got to do a little bit of tweaking. Now if he was leaping around, if this was a bit of video where he's hopping around, it is actually possible to define this boundary and have it moving to follow the object that you're chroma keying. Won't go into that for now. This particular clip, he just sits still. So we've defined our boundary. We've defined our color keying, our chroma keying, using the color that we picked through the qualifier. And if you look over our node here, you can see it indicates that all of those effects are in place. We've got a qualifier that's been defined, we've got a boundary window, and we're using chroma keying. If you make a mistake with any of these tabs down here, this little button here will reset any settings that you've been playing with. So if you mess things up, just click that. Same for the qualifier. You can click that and it gets rid of the color selection that you've got. Alright, so he is looking pretty good. He's sat there in the car park, looking pretty small and cute. Back to our edit here. Now the robot clip that we've got here, I want to add that into our timeline. Going to pick it up, going to drag upwards to add in another video track. Drop that there. I want the end of it to line up with the end of Pikachu's clip here. If you look down here in the audio section, you'll see the robot comes with his own audio track, and that's been placed on a second track, so you'll hear that being played at the same time as the music with the Pikachu track. This blank audio track that we got with the background layer here, but you can delete that. Just right click, delete the track. We don't need that. Alright, now you'll notice if I scrub through the robot track here, there's no titling at the start. We define the in and out points when we're in the media tab. When you then drag that into here, it just brings in the bit that you've marked as being of interest with the in and out points. Okay, so we've got some chroma keying to do again for the robot clip this time. Going to head back into the color tab. Going to click on the robot video over here. Going to scrub towards the middle of the clip just so we can check what's going on. Going to head to nodes, add a serial node. We need to connect its alpha output to the alpha output of the processing chain here. Then we want to come down to our qualifier tab. We'll go to our 3D qualifier. Going to circle a chunk of that green up there. You want to circle a bit that doesn't include the details that you want you want to see. It should just be the green section here. You can do multiple selections if the green varies from from side to side, which can happen if you do your own green screening. Sometimes there's inconsistency with the background green, with the lighting and so on. So you can circle multiple areas if you need to. Once again, it's inverted, so we're going to head to our keying tab here. We're going to click on invert. All right, now we've got quite a lot of green coming through. You can see if I zoom in, there's a lot of green around the edges of this guy. There's kind of doesn't look so good. So heading back to the qualifier here, there's an option here for despill. If you click on that, it does a pretty good job of removing green tinging to a video. So it's especially useful if you've got fuzzy edges to your overlay. It does tend to make things look a bit orangey, so it's not always ideal, but in this case it works pretty perfectly. All right, so back to our edit tab now. We've now got our 3 video layers. We've got our background, our Pikachu layer, and the robot layer. And if I hit play, my computer's not very fast, so it's a bit jerky, but you can see we can preview how this looks. So the little guy sat there, a robot appears, and gets rid of him. All good.